All right, well, Coach McNeill, welcome back. Episode 2 of the Kim McNeill Show on YouTube. Thanks for coming back, Coach, for a second episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to start, Coach, coming off a good win yesterday against Cincinnati, get that first AAC win in the books. Yeah. What are some things, maybe, it was a busy week. That was the 4th game in about 8 days. What were some things that were different that day that helped you get that win versus maybe the past couple games?
First of all, man, did we need that win. We were 0-3 in the league, and just had been going through a lot with COVID. We've played 4 games in 8 days. Obviously the SMU game was a rescheduled game, so typically we wouldn't be playing that many games, but I really wanted to get the SMU game in, really want to give the seniors the opportunity to play as many games as possible, in their senior year and not really miss any games. But just had some good tough conversations with some people, prior to the Cincinnati game, made some changes in the lineup. And I just thought that, from the start, we came out and set the tone defensively, and didn't allow ourselves to get down. Against SMU and against Tulsa, we dug ourselves holes very early in the game. And I think there's no secret. We're not a prolific scoring offensive team. We make our money off defense, and when we get down 15, 16 points early, it's going to be hard, for us to come back from. So we really just talked about really setting the tone defensively, really getting back to turning people over and allowing our defense to create offense for us. And obviously we did that with forcing 31 turnovers and getting 30 points off that.
Is there any, obviously you want to force those turnovers. Is there, because you did force a lot against SMU, but you didn't turn as many points.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in the type of turnovers you want to force and how you do that, like getting out and scoring with that?
Yeah, to me a turnover is a turnover. Obviously we want live ball turnovers, so we can get out and transition. You're exactly right, Pat. We turned SMU over, I think, 27 times, but for some reason we just couldn't make layups. We missed some completely wide open layups, and I think we really dwelled on that. Like we hung our heads and we allowed that to affect the next possession. And so we really talked about, going into Cincinnati, nobody's perfect. So you're going to make mistakes. Just don't let that one mistake add up to 2, 3, 4 mistakes. And the thing I'm the proudest of the team after the Cincinnati game was we responded after every timeout. Every time they made their run and I called a timeout, we came right out and got the lead back and even took it further than what it was. So that tells me they were locked in, they were focused, they didn't allow those mistakes to carry over. And that's what you want out of your team, in situations like that, because basketball is a game of runs. Everybody's going to take their punch, and we really, I think this is probably the first time we really responded the way we did.
You talked about getting every one of those seniors every one of the games they can. One of those is Raven Johnson.
Definitely.
She's been in the starting lineup, I think, the last 5 games. Had 22 points yesterday, just 2 off her career high. What does she bring both on the court and off the court on this team? Yeah,
so obviously Raven brings experience. She's sixth year. She turned 23 years old today. So she's like the grandma of the team. She's seen everything, played for some different coaching staffs, has been extremely loyal to us from the day we stepped on to this campus. But just, I think she's really realizing how she can be effective on our team. And Raven is our catalyst. She's our leader in our defense, at the top of the press, bringing it back to our matchup. When she can get deflections, when she can get our hands out there and rebound for us and is able to start to break for us, we're putting her in her element. And that's scoring in transition. She's a really good scorer in transition. And then yesterday, it helped us even more when she hit a couple of shots in the half court. So I think she's really starting to get her confidence back. She's starting to believe in herself and understanding that we need her to be that double-figure scorer. I talked to her about that after the SMU game. Like, we can't put all this on Taz. Like, we need help. And I think us jumping out and getting a lead allowed us as players to relax a little bit more, and especially myself, to be able to be more confident and calling other things and not just shot calling for Taz.
And what is can maybe some people who only watch the games, can you talk a little bit about Raven's personality off the court? You said she's the grandma of the team.
Yeah.
Maybe what would she, if you see her outside basketball, what kind of person is she?
She's going to always have a big smile on her face. She's always smiling. She's laughing. She's joking. She's goofy. In practice, she could be standing off the corner by herself, dancing or doing something. She's very caring. So she's always going to try to look out for her teammates. And she's just a really, really good kid. I'm not going to say kid. She's 23 years old. She's a really, really good person.
And we'll move on to one of the other 6-year player, or 5th-year, but graduate students on the team, Tyler Bennett.
Yep.
And she has been, if you come in the lane, you're probably going to get a shot blocked by her at this point. She's got 17 in 4 AAC games. She became just a second ECU player with multiple 6-block games. And you knew she had that talent coming in. She was second all-time at Clemson. But what maybe was changed in this past couple games where she's getting these rejections?
I think she's starting to figure out our defense. At Clemson, I think they were strictly probably a man-to-man team. Where we're more of our matchup, more pressing, and I think they pressed a little bit at Clemson, but I don't know if they wanted their backline or their big people to get as involved in the press as we do. And so I think she's starting to figure out, where she can make her plays. I think last night she had 2 steals or either got her hands on the balls in the press, where she hadn't done that in the past. She's been more likely to kind of stay back and be conservative, where last night she was aggressive. But I think she's figuring out our defense. And then I told her, this is it for you. There is no more COVID here. And she has aspirations to play, after college. So, it's time to step up. It's time to step your game up. It's time to step your defense up. I still would like to see a little bit more scoring from her. But if she can get us on a nightly basis 8 or 9 rebounds and 5 or 6 blocks, that's a good night.
She actually also, didn't have the scoring, but did have career high 4 assists.
Yeah.
Is that something kind of an added element maybe you didn't realize she has?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of zones, and especially last night, Cincinnati is long. They're really long and they're big. So, her in that high post, she's a big target for our guards to see. So when she catches it up there, she can turn her face and she can see openings. And I thought she did a really good job of finding open people against the zone last night.
And you talked about earlier, kind of getting that second score with Tania Thompson. And last night you had 4 players in double figures, career high for Morgan Mosley, the 22 for Raven, and Alexia Rose was also joined tonight in double figures. How do you balance, getting those people going versus, Tania, if you've seen her play, for those out there, she can get going in an instant, She might miss a couple, but then the next few, she just catches fire.
Yep.
How do you balance letting Tania get those opportunities versus making sure others are involved in the game?
I think that's when she's at her best. I think that's when Taz is at her best, when the focus isn't on her. And we've had some other games when maybe Danae stepped up and had some good games, or Raven has had another double-figure game, or I think that's when we're at our best, is when I look down at that stat sheet and I see multiple people in double figures, because now people just can't target on Taz. I thought against SMU and I thought against Tulsa, she kind of got back to having to take tough shots. Not that she was being selfish, but we got down. So any coach, when you get down, you're going to try to keep the ball in your hot hand or in your best player's hands. And so, as I said before, last night we were able to get out in transition and cause some turnovers and build the lead a little bit, which I think loosens it up for everybody else. And when we can consistently get 2 or 3 other people in double-figure scores, in double-figure points, I think it's going to take the focus off of Taz, and she's going to be able to go back to getting wide open shots as she was at the beginning of the year.
And she is only 36 points away from becoming the 24th 1,000-point scorer here at ECU. It's a pretty impressive accomplishment. What does that say about her as a player? To get it done her junior year potentially.
Yeah. I think that's what's most impressive about it, to be able to do it in 3 years. I think that just says 2 things about Taz. One, it shows her work ethic. And 2, I think it shows her loyalty to this program. To be here for 3 years, the way things are these days, you never know what your roster's going to look like from year to year. Where the kids want to, find something else, go somewhere else. But, Taz has been loyal to us and, has stayed here and stuck through, some tough times, with us trying to turn this program around and to get it going. So I think it just really shows, her work ethic, her commitment to getting better every single year. I think every year her stats have gotten better, and her commitment to this program.
Do you have a prediction for where on the court she's getting that 1,000 point?
It's probably going to be a pull-up.
Yeah.
Her money spot, her money shot.
And the other day we had first Johnson & Johnson start. Sania joined Raven in the starting lineup, and she stepped into that point guard role.
Yeah.
And this is something you've had, maybe not last year, but I think your first year where you had some injuries. You're someone who might not be used to that point guard role stepping in. You yourself were a point guard. Maybe what's part of the crash course of getting someone ready to play that position?
Just keep it simple. You know, and that was part of my responsibility too, is to, you know, me and Sneha had some conversations like, what are you comfortable with offensively? You know, keeping it simple, you know, keeping it, you know, not, you know, some more of our more complex offensive sets, you know, just really keeping it simple for her. You know, we knew Cincinnati was going to press some, so we really scripted how we wanted to break the press. So it was more about, you know, just keep it simple. Don't try to do too much until, you know, we get some subs in, you can go back to your normal position.
How nice has it been this year, you know, to have when you need Sania to step in that role, or you need, you know, for example, T.R. Chambers hasn't played as much lately, but you have Morgan Mosley and Tyler Bennett step up. How is it nice to have that depth where you don't need to just ride someone maybe high hand, you can fit pieces in different ways?
It's definitely great for us for the way we play. You know, the up tempo, the pressing. You know, you need bodies, and we've definitely cut the you know, the subs down. You know, from the beginning of the year, I think we were playing 11 or 10 kids. I think now we're down to 8. You know, that happens. You know, as the year goes along, and early in the year, you're trying to figure out, you know, rotations. You know, who plays well together, who doesn't. You know, but at this time of the year, when you're in conference play and in our league, which I don't think gets enough respect. I think the American is really, really good. And out of my 3 years being here, you know, even with UConn in it, this year has been the best year. I mean, you know, Tulsa is so much better. SMU is so much better. And I preach to the young ladies every night, like, there is nobody in our league that you can look at and say, hey, this is a guaranteed win. So you got to bring it every night. You know, so when we're in practice, you know, we don't have time at this point of the year for everybody to get reps. I mean, when your number is called, you got to be ready to go.
Sure.
And so we've kind of cut that rotation down some. You know, last night we were able to play some people because we got a little bit of a league. But, you know, I think probably here going out is probably going to be 8 to 9 players.
Yeah. And you got another tough team coming in on Wednesday night in Temple. You know, what do you expect to see from them?
Just a tough, grindy team that's gonna make it ugly. You know, they are very, very, very hard nosed. We've had some really good games with them. I think I'm 1-3 against them right now. I think we beat them here 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago. I can't remember, but up at their place last year should have been our win. We lose by 1. But they're playing really good right now. They're on a roll, you know, beating Houston, beating, who else did they beat before? I can't remember who all they beat, but they're really hot right now. And they've got 2 really good players that arguably you could say are the 2 of the better post players in the league. And Mia Davis is up for, you know, player of the year and preseason player of the year. And she's doing what a preseason player of the year candidate should be doing right now. She is putting her team on her back, and she's getting it done from every aspect of the game.
Do you maybe feel better, you know, in the past you maybe now haven't had the bodies to deal with her size. You feel better that you at least have the bodies to throw at her this year maybe a little more? I
do, and I'm hoping our length can give her some problems. You know, but we got to come out with a sense of toughness. We have to understand it's going to be a very, very physical game. You know, we can't get caught up in foul not being called. That's just the way it's going to be. You know, and so we've got to make it a tough night for her. You know, we've got to try to keep the ball out of her hands, and when she does get in her hands, maybe throw some traps at her. But we've got to make it a tough night for her, and then we got to keep Williamson off the boards. I mean, she's probably one of the most athletic kids in our league. She's got one of the quickest jumps and second jumps I've ever seen. So we're going to have our hands full with those 2. But I think we're going to come in, we're going to be ready to go. Obviously, we play much better at home than we do on the road. So I'm hoping the momentum that we picked up from Cincinnati can carry over into Temple.
And then I know you're probably not looking past Temple, but you got a free weekend coming up. Is there any thought to what the team will do over that time to get your bodies back, all of that type of deal?
Yeah, we'll take a couple of days off, you know, but we also got to get better on some things. So we'll continue to work on our defense. We'll continue to make our offense better. Working on our passing, putting each other. I keep talking about, you know, setting people up for success. You know, making great passes, understanding where people want to score from. So we'll continue to work on our defense. We'll continue to work on our offense. You know, getting more comfortable, you know, playing with each other. But definitely we'll take some time off and, you know, get our legs back underneath us a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I think we talked about our first show, it's going to be a busy February.
Yes,
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, Coach, thank you again for your time.
No problem.
Episode 2, Coach McNeill, Kim McNeill Show in the books. Again, if you have any questions for Coach for next Monday, please send them to ECUWBB on Twitter and Instagram. We will ask your questions on the show.
Go Pirates!